Hare Krishna, everyone. Today we'll be taking chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is called Yoga of the Supreme Person. In this chapter, basically, Krishna is talking about that there's a supreme entity in this entire creation, which is the root of everything. So, this is a rather small chapter, so we'll take each sloka individually by itself. So, the first sloka says that. Sri Bhagwan said, "He who knows the people tree, which is said to be imperishable with its roots in the primeval being, that is God, whose branch is represented by Brahma, the creator, and whose leaves are the Vedas, is a knower of the purport of the Vedas." So, Krishna is saying that this entire creation is like a tree which is upside down. At the root of the tree is the supreme person, which is God, and coming down, there are various entities like demigods, let's say Brahma, and there are these scriptures which are even the lower methods of realization of God, like the Vedas in Hinduism, and so on and so forth. So the next shloka says, fed by the three gunas and having sense objects for their tender leaves, the branches of the aforesaid tree extend both downwards and upwards, and its roots, which bind the soul according to its actions in the human body, are spread in all regions, higher as well as lower. So Krishna is just highlighting the various things which are binding the individual soul with this body, and because of which the soul is not able to realize its highest bliss form or self-realization with God. So, in which there are the three gunas. The three gunas are Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun, uh, which is goodness, passion, and ignorance. Then there are these sense objects in the form of the leaves of the tree, which are the various items of, let's say, Shabd, Sparsh, Roop, Ras, Gandh, which is the things that we listen, which are pleasing to the senses. Then there are these things which are pleasing in the touch form. Then there is the sight. Then there is the taste, food items, etc. And then there is the smell. So these are the ones which are binding us in this world. Then apart from that, Krishna is saying that um, the binding is according to the actions of the human body. For example, if someone is in the mode of goodness, the binding is not that tight and not that miserable. Whereas if someone is in the mode of ignorance mostly, then he has to face a lot of difficulties and hardships. Then the next one says, the nature of this tree of creation does not, on mature thought, turn out what it is represented to be. For it has neither beginning nor end, nor even stability. Therefore, cutting down this people tree, which is most firmly rooted with the formidable acts of dispassion. So, this entire creation, Krishna is saying that you need to cut down this sorrowful state of misery in which the individual soul is existing. And the way to cut that is through dispassion or vairagya, which we call it in Hindi. Then coming to the next one, thereafter a man should diligently seek for that supreme state, that is God, having attained which they return no more to this world, and having fully resolved that he stands dedicated to the primal being, Lord Narayan himself, from whom the flow of this beginningless creation has progressed. We should dwell and meditate on him. So Krishna is saying that the purpose of the individual soul is to practice, and be dedicated in God realization. And the way to do that is to meditate on God. They who are free from pride and delusion, who have conquered the evil of attachment and are constantly abiding in God, whose cravings have altogether ceased, and who are completely immune to all pairs of opposites going by the names of pleasure and pain, and are undeluded, attain that supreme immortal state. So, people who have no arrogance about their actions or any of their qualities, then who have conquered the evils of attachment to the family, attachment to their name, titles, legacy, etc., and are constantly abiding in God, like they are having a constant memory of God while performing all their actions in this world, whose cravings have altogether ceased and who are completely immune to all pairs of opposites going by pleasure and pain. So, those who are of sambhav, which means that equanimous state uh, between the dual opposites. Like even if you get a lot of money or you get into a lot of losses, your mental state remains the same. So that is called being immune to the pairs of opposites, or sambhav, or equanimity, or samadhi. So this is what Krishna is saying, that these souls attain the supreme immortal state. Neither the sun, nor the moon, nor fire can illumine the supreme effulgent state, attaining which they never return to this world. That is my supreme abode. So, Krishna is saying that all these things have limited luster: sun, moon, fire. So, that supreme state in which the soul comes to God, uh, attains the abode of God, that is extremely effulgent, self-effulgent. So there is no comparison of that state with any other luminous object. The eternal Jivatma in this body is a fragment of my own self, and it is that alone which draws around itself the mind and the five senses which abide in Prakriti. So Krishna is saying that the individual's soul is like a fragment of God. So if, let's say, the God is an ocean, then the individual's soul is like a drop of water in the ocean. So qualitatively, we can say that we are similar to God. Like the water is the same, just that quantitatively, you cannot compare an ocean with a uh, drop of a water. Then next one. Even as the wind wafts scents from their seat, so to the Jivatma, which is the controller of the body, taking the mind and senses from the body which it leaves behind, forthwith migrates to the body which it acquires. So when a person dies, so he or she takes away his mind, his energies, his senses, and leaves behind this body which is made of the five elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. It is while dwelling in the senses of hearing, sight, touch, taste, and smell, as well as in the mind, that this Jivatma enjoys the objects of senses. So, while the individual soul is dwelling in these senses and mind, so it is the sole enjoyer of these objects of senses as well as mind. The ignorant know not the soul departing from or dwelling in the body or enjoying the objects of senses, even when it is connected with the three gunas. Only those endowed with the eyes of wisdom are able to realize it. So the ignorant people who do not understand all this spiritual realizations and knowledge, so they do not understand or appreciate the soul being the enjoyer of these senses, etc. They take the body itself to be the soul or the individual self. So Krishna is saying that there is a difference between the body, the senses, the mind, and the Jivatma, which is the individual soul. Striving yogis too are able to realize the self enshrined in their heart. The ignorant, however, whose heart has not been purified, know not the self in spite of their best endeavors. So, people who are rooted in the sense gratification aspect of life, they are not able to see the soul separately, and they consider themselves as their body only or mind. But striving yogis are able to realize that their soul is the uh, enjoyer of everything there is in this creation for them through the senses and mind. The radiance in the sun that illumines the entire world, and that which shines in the moon, and that which shines in the fire to know that radiance to be mine. So Krishna is saying that all the radiance and everything which is energy is coming from the one source, that is God or Krishna. And permeating the soil, it is I who support all creatures by my vital energy. And becoming the sackful moon, I nourish all plants. Krishna is saying it is me only who is providing energy to all the creatures in this universe. And becoming the moon, I nourish all the plants. Taking the form of fire as Vaishvanar lodged in the body of all creatures and united with the prana and the prana breath, it is I who digest and assimilate the four kinds of food. So Krishna is saying that the fire which digests the food in the living beings, that fire is also coming from Krishna, or it is Krishna itself. It is I who remain seated in the heart of all creatures as the inner knowledge, inner controller of all, and it is I who am the source of memory, knowledge, and the ratiocinative faculty. Again, I am only object worth knowing through the Vedas. I am alone the origin of Vedanta and knower of the Vedas too. So, Krishna is mentioning that it is Krishna only who is the source of all memory, knowledge, the object of knowing, the origin of all the scriptures and Vedas. So the next one says, the perishable and the imperishable too. These are the two kinds of purushas in this world. Of these, the bodies of all beings are spoken of as the perishable, while the Jivatma or the embodied soul is called imperishable. So Krishna is saying that there are two kinds of people in the world. One who are perishable, and the other one who are considered imperishable. So those who have realized their self as the soul or the individual self are considered as imperishable, and those who consider them to be the body, they are the perishable ones because body is subject to decay and death. Yet the Supreme Person is other than these, who having encompassed all the three worlds, upholds and maintains all, and has been spoken of as the imperishable Lord and the Supreme Spirit. So now here, this is a very important point. So Krishna says that apart from these two purushas or people categories of souls, which are the perishable and the imperishable, there is a third category which is Bhagwan, God, Ishwar, which mentions that the supreme person, having encompassed all the three worlds, which is omnipresent in the entire creation, or all the three worlds or lokas of this universe, who upholds and maintains everything, is spoken as the imperishable Lord and the Supreme Spirit. There's a difference between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul, which is duality. So there is a school of thought which believes in non-duality, and this one is a school of thought which believes in duality. Uh, which is the individual soul, is separate from the supreme soul. Since I am wholly beyond the perishable world of matter or kshetra, and am superior even to the imperishable soul, Jivatma, hence I am known as the Purushottam, the supreme self in the world as well as in the Vedas. So in Vedas, there's a Purush and Prakriti. Purush is the soul and Prakriti is the matter of this material existence. So Krishna is saying that the third one is the Purushottam. Purushottam is the highest state, the supreme personality, which is Krishna. Arjun, the wise man who thus realizes me as the supreme person, knowing all, he constantly worships me with his whole being. So the wise person who has accepted the Vedas uh, or the or the wisdom of wise people realizes that the supreme person is Krishna. Uh, that one constantly worships Krishna only with his entire being, with his senses, with his mind, with everything that he is or she is. Arjuna, this most esoteric teaching has thus been imparted by me. Grasping it in essence, man becomes wise and his mission in life is accomplished. So, people say, what is the purpose of life? God realization is the purpose of life. And Krishna is ending this chapter by saying that this is the most esoteric teaching, which is a very secret teaching, not uh, given to everyone, and not everyone is also able to understand this. So, which Krishna has imparted to Arjuna. Once a person grasps this wisdom, then his or her mission in life is accomplished. So, with this, we conclude the 15th chapter. Thank you very much.